Hello ladies and gentlemen, Mike here at GameFromScratch, and today we're going to take a quick hands-on with the CopperCube game engine. Now CopperCube 5.7 was just released yesterday, and I decided it was a good time to check this engine out. This is going to be a fairly short video for the most part. We're not going to go into an incredible amount of depth, but I do want to expose this engine to you. And the entire idea behind CopperCube 5 is to be an accessible engine that does not require programming. So if that whole concept turns you off, well, I hopefully will see you next video. The other thing you should probably know right up front is the tools run on Windows and Mac, so if you're a Linux developer, unfortunately, you are also out of luck. So without further ado, let's jump in and take a look at CopperCube. Now, CopperCube is a commercial engine. It is made by Ambiera. I might be pronouncing that wrong. They're also known for IRR Licht, which I'm also probably pronouncing wrong, which is a C++ based game engine. Been around for quite some time, completely open source. Well, CopperCube itself is one of those all-in-one editing environments. Now, the entire idea behind CopperCube is to be accessible, to be easy to use. So, you know, the whole argument of why would I choose this over Linux or over Unity, or why would I choose this over Unreal Engine, or why would I choose this over Godot? The highest, biggest selling point is ease of use. And it is commercial software. CopperCube costs 69 euro. You basically buy it outright for the particular version. So that will get you the 5.x series of upgrades. So when 6 is done or out, then you need to buy the next version. There's also a pro version with slightly more functionality. Video playback, Oculus Rift support, Android source code, Flash source code, etc. But for the most part, your basic is pretty full functioning. There's also a 14-day free demo, so if you just want to check it out, the demo is pretty much full featured, so you do have an idea of everything you are going to get. Now, CopperCube will create code for or compile applications for macOS, Windows, WebGL, HTML5, Android, and even Flash. One thing that you'll notice missing there is iOS and also Linux, although I suppose the fact that you can create it as a web app, you could potentially bundle that for any application you wanted. It's extremely easy to use. It is aimed at for the no programmer market, but you can extend it using JavaScript if that is your preference. And without further ado, let's jump in. Now, what you see in front of you is the 14-day trial. So if you are interested in checking it out, you can go ahead and download it. This download is minusculely small, something like 30 megabytes. So it's kind of nice to see this all-in-one engine in a very small download size. Now let's start it off with something a little bit more impressive, one of their built-in examples, and we'll do the first-person camera view. And here you can see the editor up and running already. And we'll go back and look at the programming in a few minutes, but you can see the environment we're dealing with. So over here you've got your world composition, texture and palette over here, a bunch of prefabs that you can bring in and create easily are down here. Properties of your selected item are here. You can see you've got skeletal bone-based animation support right out of the box. And then here is your scene graph. Up across the top here, you've got your various different entities that you can create in the world. So if I wanted to create a cone, for example, click, and there is a cone added to the world. And then I can apply whatever textures I wish to the cone. Let's see, how do I do this? I think it's here. So, anyways, yeah, some materials. And I can switch out the applied material. Oh, I've got the wrong thing selected. Here, change it up there, like so. And there, I've changed up the texture on my object. You got your traditional 3D gizmos for manipulating and placing items in the scene. Use your mouse for navigation, so zoom in and out, pan, rotate, and then you can use your arrow keys to actually navigate around the world. And then if you want to go ahead and actually run your code that you see right here, we can go up here to Tools, and there are the various different platforms that you can actually run and create for. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a Windows application. You can see how fast this actually works. So boom, it is now created, and here is your code running. And there you go. Now you'll notice the bottom left, there's that on-screen controller. That is touch controls, added very, very simply. You see this guy walking around the world, and done. So this is kind of a more complex example. Now let's actually show you how some of these things work and go together. So yep, everything will be lost. We'll create a new blank app. So here is basically a cube in an empty world. Your scene graph over here shows your various different settings. So we have a skybox around our world with a normal cloud texture. Skybox is basically just 6-sided textures that wrap almost every game. Every 3D game uses skyboxes to fake detail in the world that isn't really there. But this is basically everything that you see on the horizon in all different directions. And here is a starting mesh. Now we could go ahead and create or instance any of these particular prefabs, for example. So if we wanted to make, oops, I think I just screwed something up. So a set of stairs here, for example, I just go ahead and create an instance of that prefab, and we now have stairs in our world. So you may be wondering at this point, well, how does the programming work? Well, that is quite simple. So here is our the starting cube, for example. You'll notice here we have another tab called behaviors. Now behaviors are basically can be thought of like events. So we're going to go ahead and define a new behavior. So we could do something simple like just fly in a circle, and there you go. Very, very simply done. We can modify the radius of said circle, etc. Now let's switch to our stairs over here, and we'll do something different with behaviors. So you see we've got other things here. So basically collide when moved, behaviors triggered by events. So you can do like when something comes close to this, or when the cursor moves over it, or when you click it, or just on random periods of time, or when a key is pressed. And we'll come back to key is pressed in a second. You'll also see you've got effects, game behavior, so we can actually drop in a game actor behavior, which gives you, a bunch of controls over. We'll look at that in a second, actually. And here you can see scripted behavior. So what I'm going to do is just add a key event behavior. So behavior when a key is pressed, and you'll see this creates this new, gives us a little bit more room. Let's zoom that guy out. So here you can see that's got a number of behaviors that can be bound to it. So we've got the key that is actually pressed, so you can test it here. So let's switch that out to left arrow. And what we'll do is now, so that's a behavior, and then when a behavior triggers, the actual execution code is an action. So now let's define an action for it. So create a new action. As you can see, we can add multiple behaviors and multiple actions to every game object. So we can come down here and go, so we're going to change the position of this node. We're going to set move by, and then down here, so change which scene node. So now we're going to go ahead and select our stairs. And vector, so we will move by the x-axis by 1, or left. Okay, so that would be the z-axis. Move that by 1, and then okay. So now that that behavior defined, we'll go ahead and quickly show you. So I press left. All right, so I may have done that one backwards, but there you can see we have our move set up. So I could go ahead and let's just change that. So let's edit our action. We'll go with the right direction. And we could just as easily do, say, another action. So behaviored by key is pressed. This time we will do right and click. And then here we'll do change the position of the scene node. Once again, select our stairs. And move by vector 1. All right. And now let's go ahead and we'll run that. And you see our left and right arrows now moves our entity around. Pretty straightforward, and that is essentially your programming model. Now, you could find yourself quickly finding that a little bit too limiting. You may not have the behaviors you need or the events you need. The good news is you can define your own. The bad news is you have to do it with code. Now, this is done in your, if you go into your documents folder for CopperCube, basically you're defining extensions. Now, extensions are very, very simple. Basically, let's go ahead and open this guy up. It's a folder full of JavaScript files with, here's the format for, here's a simple move function, for example. And all you're doing basically is declaring the function and prototyping the execute method of that function. And this is the code that will be compiled and run. Now, you'll see at the top here, you have this little chunk of XML that just describes to the editor what parameters your code takes. So let's look at a slightly, so switch to a random. So here you can see a slightly more complicated one that takes these different parameters in of these different values, and you can manipulate and work with them. Here, your code, again, you just implement this execute method. Here's a 2D jump and run. This is instead of, so these have all been actions. So remember, we have behaviors, which you can look at a lot like events, and actions, which are like the things that happen, the verbs, I guess you could say, of your game. So you can define both behaviors, like such as this one, which uses the same process. You define the behavior parameters up here, and these are the values that show up. Going back here are your parameters that are available, and then it's basically just straightforward JavaScript code. Now the JavaScript SDK is pretty well documented. So this is basically how you write custom code to your project. You can go ahead and implement behaviors, and you can implement actions using JavaScript if you need. Now, at the same time, you may not actually have to implement anything. Now, one of the big things here, again, is this is aimed at beginners or non-programmers, if you wish, and there's the facility to actually go ahead and share things. So I'm going to go back, there's my cube running around here. So I can go ahead and define a new behavior to it. And you'll see scripted behaviors. I can come down here and actually go to download more, and this will bring me to their website. And then you can see here, there's a number of different actions you can go ahead and download. And really, the download is just a zip file containing the JavaScript files that you copy into that folder I showed you before. And here you can see the various different functionality. So Steam achievements, for example, you just drop this guy into your code, and you now have new actions. So you can set an achievement, or you can animate scale over time, etc. And then you've also got these various different behaviors that have been community defined. Things like 2D jump and run we already saw. Camera zoom by mouse wheel, etc. So there is some extensions available, or you can look at the code from these guys and learn how to create your own. So if you do need extensibility over what is built in, this functionality is there for you. Now let's jump right back into the editor and take a look at some of the features that make it so beginner friendly. And probably first and foremost is going to be the room creator. Now if we head on over to this guy right here, brings up this nice simple editor for us. Using this very simply, we can create a map in 2D that will then project in 3D. And what we can do is define a series of floor pieces and wall pieces. So you can see here a simple floor was defined, and then the wall that goes around it. So you can pick the floor design that you want. So here, let's write over a couple of these floor spots with that style. And we'll pick a couple more. So, and now I'm going to go ahead and pick a different wall. And you see you can choose out your different tiles over here, which ones to use. So let's define our wall around this way. There. So we've now created a simple 3D room in 2 dimensions. We can pick how we want our ceiling to be created. We'll go with an arch ceiling. You can change the texture for the ceiling and how high the walls are going to be, and then just go ahead and click OK. And boom, Quicko simple room was created for you. You can see the mesh was defined, the vaulted ceiling, the different textures for the floor that we used, and so on. So a very, very quick and simple way to create interior spaces. Now, if interior isn't your thing, perhaps you're thinking exterior, well, there is also a terrain feature built in here. So let's go ahead and create terrain. So here you can pick how large one size would be, how big each tile is going to be. You can pick your ground texture, your middle and high ground texture. So basically like how far in elevation the different textures will be shown. You can have it create trees, you can have it create grass. Go down here, you've got a couple more options. You can pick your tree model, generate new trees. We'll look at the tree. Actually, I'll go ahead and do that right now. So you've got a tree maker built in here. This is actually available as another option over here. So you can create individual trees after the fact. But in this, so we can have 20% of the landscape covered in trees. We'll drop that down a little bit to say 15. And okay, a little bit more control. So topology, it can be hills, flat, or desert. We'll go with desert. And go ahead and create it. And boom, instant terrain. It's really that simple. So very capable setup. There you go. And now if you want to go ahead and change things out, you got your various terrain editing tools available over here. We can raise terrain up. Like so. You can lower it down, like so. You can smooth it out, like so. You can flatten it, like so, etc.
So it's very, very simple. So we can also add grass or shift, remove grass if you want to create a more desertous space. So very simple to create terrain landscapes in this particular engine. And that's kind of about all I'm going to cover for today. I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail with this guy, but you can see it's very, very accessible. It's not going to be for everyone, obviously, and the fact that it's a commercial engine available these days and age, that's going to cut some people off. But if you're looking for something that you can do a lot in very quickly, very easily, this might be an engine for you to check out. And again, you can extend it out using JavaScript if that is what you want to do, and there is a bit of a community built around this guy, so you're not completely alone if you go ahead and decide to give CopperCube a try. All right, so that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please do click like, and if you're into game dev related topics, do hit that subscribe button. We've got all kinds of things here. All right, see you all later. Goodbye.